Airport, which is like a 20-minute drive without traffic, or Revolution. And they were like trying to get people back and forth. All that to say, they're very careful. We had like guards with us when we went through some of the smaller, when we were driving, because we take a bus a little bit from Cairo into some of the smaller cities, and so we'd have like military guides. We'd have a guy on the bus with us with an automatic weapon, and then have like police in front of us. So they like, because tourism is so important, and because since the revolution tourism has died off a lot, they were very careful with tourists and very thankful. I mean, it was strange. I know we're over, but it was strange driving through these small towns and seeing people who were not receiving any income from the tourism industry. I mean, these are people who were just farmers living, in the countryside, waving to the tour bus excitedly because they recognize, assumably, that tourism is an important industry to Egypt. And when tourists come, money comes. And like tourists coming back after the revolution, it took a while for there to be. They'd already, even now, rather, it's still, they're not as packed as they used to be.
Was it mostly men, or were there women and children as well on the tour?
On the tour, there were men and women. There was one teenager, no young children. Right. But it was fine. I mean, Egypt is a relatively progressive country.
Sure.
Yeah.
They have revolutions. That's pretty progressive.
Right. Seriously. So there's not really any. The Muslim Brotherhood doesn't run it anymore. Which I don't know if the women would have had to shawl up if the Muslim Brotherhood was still running the country. But there was none of that. Everybody was perfectly accepting of like us being our American and Canadian and European, lifestyle and culture.
Right on.
So everybody's walking around in shorts and normal clothes, and no one cared.
Oh, okay.
And everybody was really excited and just wanted us to buy their little trinkets.
Yeah, because that sounds great. I mean, I'd love to go to Egypt. That sounds like so amazing.
John Anthony West is battling cancer right now, which is why Dr. Shock ran this tour. But hopefully, the Magical Egypt Tour exists. That's what it's called in some form or fashion. Whether or not John Anthony West is able to lead it again, and I couldn't recommend it enough.
One hopes he's mentored people who will take on the idea and carry it after he passes away.
I don't think that's a question at all. I mean, Sohaila, who is our Egyptian tour guide, is this just like force of nature woman. She's incredible, and she is very much an acolyte of John Anthony West. So if nobody else is going to do it, Sohaila can do it.
Awesome.
It's incredible.
Well, thank you, David, for sitting down with us.
Yeah,
Sorry we only had a short time, but
it's
you're great. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yep,
and good luck with all the projects you're working on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. So you do stand-up? Is that your main comedy?
Kind of. I don't know. I mean, I try to like split my time evenly with all the different things I do, but like stand-up is definitely one of the things I've done the longest. Yeah.
What are the other things that you do?
I do improv. I've been doing short form for the longest. Obviously I went through TNM's school, so I did long form there. I do sketch. I do a lot of theater as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like plays and stuff?
Yeah, plays and stuff, yeah.
My and stuff was like in musicals. And
I do mostly musicals and straight plays, actually.
Great! That's amazing.
Yeah, my wife got me into it when we first started dating. We were at a bar with a bunch of other theater people that she's friends with, and they were like, yeah, you should audition for Damn Yankees. You'd be great. And she turns to me like, and we need straight guys. They need to look like baseball players. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And ever since then, I've just been barely holding myself on stage. Kind of keeping up, but not really standing out, That's probably a good quality to have.
Well, the musical crowd is like such a high intensity. I mean, to perform not only on stage where you're projecting and you're doing that sort of like presentational thing, but then musicals are so, there's suspension of disbelief to every second where you're like, no one would do this. Yeah, why are they dancing?
Yeah. And that's always the fun thing is like finding the character, even if you're just a chorus member, like it's so fun to just find these like goofy characters that have zero dialogue, but like what kind of person would see someone singing on the street and just join in harmony and like backup dancing like that? It's the funniest characters you could play as chorus members, I think.
Yeah. I like that you put so much effort into just being like, you're like, I'm a chorus member, but I care about the character that I'm playing because I think, I don't know how much film you've done, but very recently I was talking to somebody about how when you're in film, they don't really direct you. Like in plays, there's a person who's like, hey, do this, you should do that. But in film, they're like, great, you got to figure it out? Sweet, we're rolling now. Yeah. So like every bit of development that you're doing as a chorus member makes you a better film actor, because you're like, he was just standing in the back and he was the most exciting part of that scene.
But you also have to like not, obviously you can't draw too much attention from it, but you gotta fit, you know.
No, but like committing to developing a world. Like, have you ever watched a like period piece movie where like you know one guy in the back like just is not committed to the fact that it's the 50s? Yeah. Like you're like, that guy keeps doing something and I can just tell he doesn't know what he's doing.
I thought he said I have to be in the 50s. Like, age, not the year.
He's got like gray hair somehow, but he's very young.
He's real curmudgeonly.
He's got a Hawaiian shirt on. He's like, what is going on?
Yeah, absolutely. You're all like, what are you doing? This is Shag. We're in, you're supposed to be dressed. This girl is in a, like a.
Are you checking your blood sugar back there? What the hell, man?
I love this. This is now like I love this character, this guy who like doesn't understand what movie he's in and keeps going like, no, I'm doing it. It's great.
I killed it, guys. I killed it.
Guys, you should see this movie I'm in. I am the best background guy.
Poor editor's like, son of a bitch.
You're like, all right, tighten it in, get that guy out of there, Oh man, yeah, no, that's musicals. That's so awesome. I love that. So, have you been in New Orleans forever? Like, are you born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised here. The only time I lived outside of the city was after Katrina. I relocated to Missouri pretty randomly. It was just where my family relocated to because we didn't have anywhere else to go. We had a family friend up there, and it's a little ass backwards up there, and right in the middle of the state. You're not close enough to the cities to have like any tolerance or diversity. So
I was gonna say, what the hell's going on in Missouri right now? Because I was like,
I'm so glad I got out like when I did, because like I went to Mizzou and they had all the issues going on there with just like hate crimes and like just awful stuff happening. I don't know if I can curse.
You can. You can.
Shit. Like the chancellor and the president and like the head football coach like all resigned, and like the football players were like, we're not going to play unless these people are held accountable. It was crazy. And it's still real bad too. Like just every day you see some crap like that happening. You're like, what the hell's wrong with that state? Because there are good people there, but then there's just like these pockets of like rural Missouri where they have zero exposure to human beings that don't look like themselves or like go to the same churches and stuff. Like even like I was Catholic when I went up there, and like Catholics were like white Catholics were non-existent. Like the only places I could go with church was like the multi-denominational thing where it was like a circle is like church in the round, which is very odd. And as a Catholic, like you're like, all right, where's the tabernacle? Where do I like genuflect to? And there's no point of reference anywhere. It's either that or the Hispanic church where everything was either in Spanish or Latin. And I was like, not much to choose here, bro.
What is it? I assume like Baptist and Methodist majoritively there, or
some form of Protestants. Though it is nice. That's where my Catholicism died, so that's always a good place.
Oh, okay, that's where you buried it. You buried it in Missouri.
Yeah.
Did they like beat it out of you? Was it
There was a combination of Katrina happening, which was like a big test of faith.
Sure.
And then that mixed with, like I said, just the isolation of all these people that are like supposed to be good Christians, and they're just fucking awful people. And I'm like, maybe this isn't. I'm not feeling it. And then just I got arrested for DWI. I'm like, no, I'm done. There's no plan for me. This is all garbage. I'm done.
I'm done feeling guilty when these assholes are running around feeling great about themselves.
Yeah.
Oh man, that can be hard. As far as like being in a situation where you're like, I'm being the best I can be, and yet I have to deal with crap, and this jerk has a nice job and a pretty wife and a bunch of money. Yeah. Get out of here with this.
Yeah. I know, like, the evangelicals that live there always try to talk about, like, I forget the term for it, but, like, Christian prosperity, where, like, if you give to the church, you'll be prosperous, and like sow in the seeds and all this, and they're all into that stuff. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're just wealthy because your parents were wealthy,
Right.
Yeah.
or made your money off the backs of poor people. Like that's really where your prosperity comes from, not from being,
Yeah, it's interesting how people misconstrue those kinds of stuff.
I think it's great that like you had legitimate reasons for kind of losing your faith, where it's like me, I just was like, well, this isn't cool.
This isn't cool.
I was a teenager. I was an angry teenager, and I was just like, I'm done doing that, and that was it, and kind of never looked back. I feel like I've kind of come back around on spirituality a little bit, but in a very open-ended sort of way.
Yeah.
And that's more just because my mom's listening. And,
Our number one fan.
Yeah. And the only way I could get her to go to sleep was just be like...
I definitely see the value of like spirituality, and like my in-laws are part of this like very small church. They've always been in small churches, and those I think are outstanding. Like they really help out the communities, they help out each other. There was the church they're going to now, the pastor gave out $100 to all the parishioners, said pay it forward kind of thing. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you never see that with like institutionalized religion at all. Like I think that's wonderful, and I could get behind that. I don't really agree with the book they're reading from, but
Yeah,
like those types of things, I absolutely see the value in it, and it's just tribalism versus institutionalism.
Well, sometimes I wonder if maybe the way that we live now in larger cities, and the fact that we imagine ourselves part of a larger country, and then even the internet, so I can talk to somebody here or there, that's too much. That the smaller groups, like you're saying, the small church or the small group of people, like even the theater, you can sow the seeds of prosperity within a group just by being like, I'm going to be nice to you, and then you're happy because someone was nice to you, and then you go be nice to somebody else.
But then if you go too far, then all of a sudden you're like Missouri, where you have only tiny little pockets of, mayonnaise people.
Sure. Yeah. There's a certain, it's like being in small groups, but then also being like the other groups are valid in their situations. Like, I don't get you, but I'm excited you're there.
Yeah, I love inclusivity and injecting diversity like wherever possible. So that's like the one downside to doing those types of things is if they are not open at all, like if they're very restrictive of their small community, that's when it goes bad. But like they've always seemed very cool. I'm like, you should come. I'm like, I appreciate the offer, but I like sleeping on Sundays. My church is the bed.
I earlier this year I took my girlfriend back to South Carolina, where I'm from, and she's Catholic, she's Mexican, and she was really scared to go to a Baptist church, and I was like, these are well-founded concerns, but it's like one of those things where the church that my mom goes to is actually one of the better examples of a Baptist church that you could find as far as like everybody meaning well and sort of contributing to the community. But we went at 4th of July, so I take her in, and the entire inside of the church is just red, white, and blue. Half the hymns we sang were like "America the Beautiful," like all this stuff. And we come out, and she was trying so hard not to laugh the whole time because they really nailed in that whole like American Baptist kind of vibe, And I was like. She was like, so you guys do that every Sunday? And I was like, no, you just happen to come on, America Day. So,
we celebrate American Jesus.
Yeah. And, no,
he's white, he speaks English.
Yeah, it's Captain America, but it's Jesus.
Yeah, blonde-haired.
Yeah. Got a bucket of KFC with him.
Yeah. The resurrection was when they put him inside the thing and filled him, and then he became buff. That's how it worked.
And then he got a Star-Spangled top hat.
He's like, this is my body, and he flexes on it. And they're like, yeah, I want to eat that.
I like the idea that like a person would go to the like most insane day of a place and then go, this is what it's like every day, right? You're like, no, this was an event.
Well, because it's like being Catholic and going to a Baptist church it's like nobody's trying that hard. Is what it looks like. You know, it's like Catholicism demands like discipline and and like call and response things and
very cultish.
Yeah.
A lot of standing and sitting and kneeling, and there's an order and stuff.
Absolutely.
How do you think Jesus got so ripped, man? He worked before doing all the exercise.
Yeah.
No, to your point about like on an event versus like